Okay, so good morning, students. I hope Goa campus has joined. Okay. So now we were discussing the very basic building blocks of analog circuits, that is single stage amplifiers. And I told you that you need to revise your fundamentals as I go along. I may not be covering those concepts in so detail, but I request you to go through. I assume that you people all have done this course in your first degree, bachelor's degree. Okay, so you need to work along with me. I hope the similar thing for Goa campus students also. You have to refresh, revise your concepts as I go along, because I would be touching upon these fundamental blocks. My main aim is to cover op-amps in great detail. That is where I should start in this course, but since you people, I'm not aware how much understanding you people have, so I'm trying to build up a base for you. Okay, fine. So now we, as I said, that there are some basic building blocks which are used again and again in analog domain. So as we learn about them, we will remember their characteristics also, so that we need not every time go for small signal analysis, find out the results. No, because many times we would be doing intuitive analysis. In that situation, if I know a particular result, I directly apply it. I need not recalculate, re-evaluate. That takes a lot of time, because mostly it is to be done, and it is to be done without going into much details. Analysis has to be done without. So in that case, remembering certain concepts really helps you a lot. And it is normally a reapplication of those concepts again and again. So no need to every time go for small signal model analysis. Never do that. Nobody does that. You have to remember, because these concepts are easy to remember also, not very difficult. Okay. So as I said that we have actually three basic single stage amplifiers, and then these two are actually a combination. In real sense, they are actually a combination, but they can be treated like again a single stage. I can treat them like a single stage, a standalone single stage amplifier also. Some characteristics are such that I can treat them as a single stage amplifier. But I can also understand them by taking them as a combination of two basic building blocks. Okay, so you can either treat them as a single stage, or these can also be treated like a two-stage amplifiers. Fine. So as I said that we have already done common source amplifier, and I told you that you people now you need to understand what is the load line, the concept of load line, what is Q point, how does Q point change depending on change in load, depending on change in W by L, depending on change in the bias current. You should understand, and depending on change in the supply voltage. So how to relocate the Q point once any parameter changes. That is what you should all have a very clear understanding. Okay, you should be able to draw a graph. The moment I say that I am changing my W by L to a new value, relocate the Q point, you should be able to give me the Q point location on both the graphs of the MOSFET. Or if I ask you that if there are 3 MOSFETs, draw the Q point of each MOSFET in the design, you should be able to draw. So understanding the characteristics is the very base. Very, very fundamental thing that everybody should understand in this class. Okay, so now as I said that we have a PMOS CSA, we also have an NMOS CSA. So if I am giving you an NMOS CSA or common source amplifier, remember its analysis will be exactly similar to PMOS CSA. But then while you draw the model, you should understand how to draw the model for a CSA. Ultimately, it will come out to be exactly similar to NMOS. But while drawing, I have seen people getting confused in source and drain confusion. they get entangled in source and drain confusions. Okay, so you have to be very, very careful. You should understand that in both the situations in CSA, output is taken from the drain end. So these are some simple things. But for the PMOS, it is source at a high potential. For NMOS, it is drain at a high potential. These minor things you should be able to resolve yourself. You should know somehow that you should be very clear in that designing a PMOS amplifier there is a little bit of change then design a NMOS, because source there you consider source to drain and here we consider drain to source voltages. So these things you need to keep in mind kindly, and that's what I'm saying. Start working along with me. As I proceed, you also proceed. So extra work is needed in this. Extra work is needed. Fine. Fine. So let us start with. So we have a PMOS CSA and we have an NMOS CSA. Look here, an NMOS CSA and a PMOS CSA. You should be able to draw a PMOS counterpart for every configuration. You should be able to draw. And then let us, as I said, all these things I have basically computed. How do you design? I computed the Q point locations. Okay, the concept of load line, that also I covered in the last class. How to locate the Q point and how does Q point shifts the moment you change one of the parameter, either W by L or bias current or the power supply voltage or the load. RD you can also vary. So depending on that, you will have a different Q point. Same design, but any one parameter getting a change means there is a Q point location getting changed. So how does it affect the impact, or what is the impact of this change on the performance? You should be able to understand. Clear? So as this slide is showing that you are keeping ID and W by L constant. That is, bias current is constant and W by L is constant. What we are changing is RD. Voltage across RD is changing. RD is changing. As a result, I have a different load line. Now load line changes from initial value to the final value. Load line itself changes. When the load line changes, what happens is that the Q point shifts from here to here. Okay, you are not changing any other thing. So VGS remains constant. The graph doesn't change. The characteristic of MOS doesn't change. It remains the same graph because VGS is constant. Okay, otherwise I would have taken a new characteristic. But no, here VGS is not changing, same. And the moment you do that, can you see shifting the Q point from here to here? The upper swing is limited. Okay, Q point is shifting towards the triode region. The swing is getting affected. It is upper swing or one of the swing, or you are moving towards the triode region. You may say that. Fine. So you should be able to find an impact that. Similarly, there are various other cases when W by L and VRD are kept constant and ID is changed. Bias current is changed. Same design, but we are changing the bias current. But W by L we are not shifting and load we are not shifting. RD I am not changing. I am not changing RD. RD is as it is, and W by L also I am not changing at all. So what we are changing is only the voltages. The voltages. We are changing because then only you can change the current. Otherwise you cannot change the current. So VGS you are changing. Understand? As a result, the characteristic shift. The characteristic is shifting from here to here. I am changing the I bias from ID2 to a new ID1 say. Okay? So you are changing, so accordingly the bias point is shifting and the shift on ID VDS characteristic. Understand the shift on ID VDS in the same conditions. Because VGS is shifting, so new characteristic has come up. Okay, we have a family of characteristics. Remember, we have taken a new characteristic depending on whether new VGS is less or more. Depends on that. Accordingly, we draw the load line because now ID, what is changed is VGS you are changing, so ID is shifting, but VDD by RD is not shifting. No. Okay, ID has changed. ID has changed. But VDD by RD, I think, why? No. We are not changing the VDD. We are also not changing the RD. Okay, I'll resolve it. Let us not waste our time. Because this should be constant according to me, but let me check where is the flaw. Okay, no problem. So ID we are changing. So ID initially may be small and later it is large. Can you see the red curve and the blue curve? Okay, ID is changing. ID is changing from here to here. New value. ID is changing on this axis. Just because VGS is changed. Just because there is a change in VGS. As a result, I will have, now I think, okay, these are two different. I think it should come here. It should come here. So Q point now will shift. Q point will shift from maybe from here to here or here to here, whatever way you are doing the change. Low to high or high to low. So that's what I'm saying. You should understand the logic and the way changes may happen. Just one change and then the entire performance will shift. So you are looking at the swings, you are looking at the impedances, you are also looking at the gain, you are looking at the Q point locations. So normally Q point location gives you everything. So as I said that you have a CSA. Now CSA itself can be treated in great detail. I can have a various different load. If this is my CSA, okay, grounded, this is V in, this is V out, this is load, this is VDD. Fine. Now, till now we have been working with RD or RL, whatever, suppose it is R drain. Now, I need not take a passive load. It depends on me. I can change the load. So, various types of loads are. It can be a diode connected load. Okay, an NMOS or a PMOS. A diode connected load is this, PMOS. So, this would be VDD. You can replace R with this, a diode connected PMOS. Or you can have a diode connected NMOS also acting as a load. Or you can have a simple PMOS acting as a load with this set to a bias potential DC. No need to make a diode connection. I can even have this also possible. Okay. Similarly, I can have a combination of two transistors acting as a load. So V bias 1 and V bias means a DC potential I am giving. This entire thing acting as a load. So you can have a different loads, and depending on the load value, I can have a different gain, because my gain, low frequency gain, is always minus GM times R out. Now I am saying R out, or the R over here. Rather, I should write this as GM times R out. I should not write this expression. I should write this. This is more correct. Okay, why? What is this? Is actually the device transconductance, small gm. Device transconductance, MOS. It is related to MOS device. And okay, this is fine. So this is device transconductance, whereas this is circuit transconductance. This is known as circuit transconductance. It is for the amplifier as a whole. It is not for the device. It may happen that circuit transconductance is same as the device trans, but it may not always be true. That is not always a true thing. Clear? So now what I do? How do I get this relation? This is always true. Because what is gain? Gain is change in V out with respect to change in V in. Understand that? I can rewrite it as change in V out with respect to change in I into change in I with respect to change in V. This is I out. I can rewrite it in this form. This is nothing but your R out. Whereas this is nothing but it's a transferred effect, input to output. So it is a transconductance. This is GM. It is a transferred effect. So this is always true. Gain is always transconductance, circuit transconductance multiplied by R out. So all you need to find out, either draw a model of this or simply find GM, find R out, multiply them together, have proper phase reversal, and then you will get the answer. You will get the answer. So how do you find GM? Very easy. Go by the definition. We simply go by the definition. Okay. So here we have the simple circuitry. Take the circuit. It is a circuit transconductance, so we have to take the circuit. This is V in. This is V out. This is a load. This is all I need to do. Remember, capital GM is I by V in. So this is I out. You can take any direction, hardly matters. This is I out. Okay, and this is V in. So this is actually small I out with respect to V in. Variations. Variations are only AC. DC never changes. Variations are always AC constants. Clear? I need to find out this ratio. So I can draw the small signal model. Okay. So it would be gate. So this is V in, grounded. MOS model, GM times V in. This is RO, this is R. This is source as well as bulk. This is V out. This is I out. Clear? Now, I am saying change in I out with respect to change in V in at what quantity? Remember, there are three parameters: VDS, okay, V in, and VGS. Okay, so I want to find the variation in I out with respect to V in. Okay, when V out is constant or VDS is constant. This is the definition of transconductance. So if this is to be constant, I should assume that there is no variation here. So this is AC ground. I have to assume that this is AC ground. If this is AC ground, this comes here. Okay, then ground and ground, this effect goes away. Ground and ground, this effect goes away. So what is your I out by V in? I out is simply GM times V in. I out is simply GM times V in. So what is I out by V in? It is GM. So here in this particular case, GM is same as small g. In this particular case, GM is same as small g. And what is R out? For R out, what I do? I short. Remember, standard procedure for finding out R out is that I redraw. Let me redraw and then I will do. So this is V in. This is GM times V in. This is RO. This is R. And this is output. I need to find out R out at this node. Very simple. Whenever you find out R out, place a AC source and find the current through it. That's all. Standard method. Place an AC source or a test source over there and find the current through it. Okay, in that situation, this is to be shorted. All voltage sources except AC, they need to be shorted out. So input has to be shorted out. If it is a current source, it would be open out. So input has to be shorted. So input is shorted now. So what is? So the moment V in goes away, GM V in goes away. It is a dependent current source. It is a dependent current source. It goes away. So what is left over here? What is R out? I need not even do the analysis because it is very clear. it would be RO parallel R. And even if you do the analysis, Vx by Ix will always come out to be RO parallel R. This would be your R out. So once done, I hope you can apply it anywhere. I won't be doing it again and again. This is RO parallel R. So I can immediately write my gain, AV, as capital GM is small gm. R out is RO parallel R. What about the phase? Now we have to look at the phase. We have to look at the phase. So phase will be, either you understand on your own or you can find out the polarity at this node. This current is going downwards. Direction of this current is downwards, drain to source. So polarity here will be negative. So it would be minus. This would be the gain expression. You can use this anywhere you can use it. This concept is always correct because it is from the very basic definitions. So once this is done, so now I know that I have 3 and I request you for every situation compute the swing. So what is the swing here? If I ask you how high, suppose I give an AC signal, suppose my signal is a sinusoid. Okay, so going high, so it would be go low. Remember phase reversal? And then it goes up, goes low, it will go up, then low. It would be reversed waveform. How high this would be? Or how low this would be? You need to understand. Okay? So how high this can go? Highest potential is VDD, lowest is ground. How high this peak can go? That will decide the swing. That will decide the swing. First of all, what will be the DC? What is this DC going to be at this node? What is this DC going to be? It would be simply VDD minus I into R in this situation. The DC would be this. So if R is 5K, I is say 100 microampere, how much it would be? If R is 5K, why don't you compute looking at me? Huh? How much the DC it would be? Suppose VDD is 3 volts. How much it would be? Yes? 3 minus 0.5. So this would be 0.5K. 0.5 volts. It is not a correct because I am deliberately keeping the pedestal low. So lower swing will anyway will be affected. Okay, so I would like to have it somewhere in the middle, 1.5. So to have it as 1.5 here, I need a 1.5 volts. What should be my R? Suppose I do not want to change my I remains 100 microampere. What should be my R? $15 kilo ohms. So now this is at 1.5 volts. I can have equal swing on both the directions, roughly. Now, starting from here, move from this point up. Okay? How high this can go? Suppose this is 1.5. What is the highest point you can have? As this goes up, this will not affect this transition because it will go deeper and deeper into saturation. What happens to R? R is not a device. There is no saturation or active or linear region concept. R current will flow as long as there is a difference. So it can be very close to VDD, still there can be a current. So it can go very close to VDD. I can say nearly VDD it can approach. There is no concept of device here. Device getting shut down or coming out of linear region or saturation region. There is no such concept. How low this can go? These are the swings I am looking at. How low this can go? comes down and down and down, but this MOS will go linear region because VDS is reducing, and I have to keep this transistor in saturation. So if this VGS is, suppose I am giving 2 volts and VT is 1, I cannot reduce this voltage below 1 volt. So it cannot be less than 1 volt. So I can have a swing of only how much? 0.5 volt down. Whereas the upper swing can be 1.5 volt. So I will not keep, because these are two different values. So for symmetrical sine wave kind of a situation, I cannot have this. Okay, so if you want a symmetrical swing, then find out the maximum and minima and try to keep your DC pedestal in between that range. Overall swing is from 3 volt to 1 volt. So 2 volt swing is there overall. From minima to maxima. And then it depends on your DC, whether your lower swing is more or upper swing is. For asymmetrical signal, this will go, no problem. In this case, DC is fixed. Why DC is fixed? Because the drop across R is fixed. You cannot have any other drop across R, because load is such. This is a passive load. I can even have an active load. It can be replaced by a MOSFET. I can have a situation where the drop across the load is not fixed. That also keeps on changing. That is also a possibility. Then the DC level keeps on shifting. But here the DC level gets fixed because of the property of R, a passive load. But the moment I move into a particular active load, you will find that even there is a possibility of having a variable DC levels. Because DC level itself can adjust. Then we only look at the maximum and minimum. That's all, because DC level is variable. Understood? Understood these concepts? So we should know how to find out the swings. What should be my DC? So I would require, suppose if I give you a question, design such that DC level comes to 1.5 volts, you have to design appropriately. And even then, even if you design 1.5, because of process variations that happen, etching, ion implantation, these are various processes. So you always have a mask misalignment happening. As a result, masks, they shift. Because the masks are shifting, or the etching is, you have more undercutting, more over etching is happening, over etching is happening. So you may have dimensions changing, W by L changes, R value changes, passive load, capacitance values changes, dimensions, they all change because of over etching. No? As a result, Q point is never stable. I might have designed Q point certain point, but actually after fabrication it may be a little bit shifted. As a result, the current will shift. The R value will shift. In that situation, the DC will a little bit different. I should understand. Okay? Clear? And also, here the DC I can calculate also. This will be the DC value at the output. In one particular case where the DC itself is variable, I don't know what's going to be my DC level. Because then that is not in the control of the designer. That is set by the circuitry itself. So circuit is the boss there. Whichever way, there's a range. The circuit is now manipulating. It is adjusting on its own. I have no control. This is a dangerous situation. Because this dangerous situation can cause any DC level to appear, though within a given range. But it can cause any DC level to appear, which may not be suitable for the correct operation of my entire circuitry, according to me, which is not my desired level. That can also possible. We will see such cases where this may not be possible. Then I have to ensure that what I want, that DC level comes. What I want, that DC. Designer does not want some ambiguity. He wants everything as he desires. Every node voltage, every node current. He needs complete control on the circuitry. So anything, he doesn't want to leave it to the circuit to adjust. No. So we have another technique by which we fix the DC level in such cases. where DC level can vary. And those are called as common mode feedback circuits. So this we will do little later, but I think this is very clear to all of you. Apply these concepts to all. As I said, so we have a common gate over here. This is DC potential given here. Input is applied at the source and output is taken from the drain. This is load. Now load, I can replace this load. Let me put a diode connected load. Let me put a diode connected load. What will be the DC level here? Compute. What is the DC level here? Now it depends on this VGS. Because it would be VDD minus, suppose this is 1.5. It would be 1.5. It has to be, look at the connection. Here also DC is fixed. Diode connected load. Suppose I go for a simple PMOS acting in saturation but no diode connection. And I give a DC potential here. But it is no diode connection. I remove the diode connection. What is happening here? What's the DC here? Compute the DC value. What DC will come here? This is again 3 volts. This is again 1.5 volts, suppose. What DC will come over here? Yes? Anybody from Goa campus? I can see so many students very clearly. I don't know their names. Can I call by the color of your shirt? Goa campus students. I can see you very well, but I don't know your names. Girls are sitting at the back. Next time the girls should come in the front. There are only 2 girls. I can see only 2 girls over there. Yes, the very first person, red shirt. Your name is?
Nisarg.
Nisarg. So can you tell me what will be the DC over here?
Ma'am, I'm calculating. 1 second.
No, you need not compute. It is very simple. I can just by looking at, understand. If you are computing, that means there is some problem in the understanding. Because you need not compute, understand. VT is say 1 volt. All you need is to bring this transistor in saturation
2 volts.
Is VGS minus VT. So you require a drop of 0.5 volts across this. That's all. VDS or VSD across PMOS should be 0.5. Otherwise, MOS will go into the linear region. I want all MOSes to operate in saturation. The moment I compute this, it is 0.5. It is 3 minus 0.5. It can be at the most 5 or it can be at the most 5. If it is less than that, will it not be appearing in saturation? It can be. But how low this node would? It is the maximum you can have. Maximum DC you can have here. What's the minimum DC you can have? It depends on this lower transistor. Because this must also be in saturation. And if this VGS is say 1.2 volt and VT is 1. For this to remain in saturation, suppose you see sine wave is riding on a DC of 0 volt. So you don't have any voltage across it. No DC voltage across this. So how low this can be? It can be 0.2. So your minimum is 0.2. In between this range, any value of DC can happen. Both transistors will operate in saturation region. You need not worry. That's what I'm saying. A particular case where DC can be variable. This is that case where DC is variable. It is not fixed. It can be any value between 2.5 to 0.2. And who will adjust this DC? It's a circuit. Designer has no control because he has not made any such connection which fixes the DC over there. Understand? So here this is a particular case where DC is variable. And in this situation, I will go for a common mode feedback circuit design, which will fix the DC at that node. I will do that. Understood? Clear? Common gate. So look at change of load. Load can be diode connected. Load can be a simple PMOS acting in saturation without diode connection. Now can you tell me that I have gain as GMRO? Rout. What is GM here? Tell me immediately. What will be capital GM here? What will be capital GM here? Can you do, or should I write it down? It would again be small gm. Now I request you to find it out. You know the definition of capital GM. And what is R out? R out means impedance looking over here. What is this impedance? It has two parts, up and down. Both coming in parallel, AC ground, AC ground. When you find R out, remember V in is shorted. Remember? Now I am not drawing the small signal model. I am doing the analysis right on the circuit itself. So if I am finding out R out at this node, at the output node, this is AC ground, this is AC ground, and this is shorted. So this node actually comes to AC ground. Because this node comes to AC ground, now look from here. Find out the down component. This is DC, this is ground, there is no VGS. Now visualize a MOS model. MOS model is this. For this it is this MOS model. What is the VGS here? VGS is 0. So GM VGS is 0. So this does not appear. So what is left is only R. So down component is RO. What is up component? What is up component? Again do the same thing. I am doing it for the first time and the last time. This is gate and this is AC ground. Remember, VDD is AC ground. VDD is AC ground. You are looking from this point onwards. This is RO. Now this node is connected to this node. What is this? Source. No, sorry, drain. This is drain. So this is connected to, so this is drain. So what is happening? Drain source is same as gate source. Drain source is same as gate source. No? So any change in gate is actually a change in drain. No? Or any change in drain is actually a change in gate. So if you look at the current equation, it is VGS minus VT whole square. It is actually become VDS minus VT whole square. Now it has become VDS minus VT whole square. So can you see with change in drain, there is a square change in the current. Because of this connection, diode connection, any change happening in drain is causing a square change in current. So what is this component called as? GM-VGS. Remember? GM-VGS now becomes GM-VDS or VSD. No? GM-VDS. So this VDS, can you find out? So now if I redraw, now see, I am taking a NMOS which is diode connected and doing the analysis. A diode connected NMOS. This is what it is, this PMOS. A diode connected PMOS. Same as diode connected NMOS. Draw its model. GM times gate connected to drain. So this is drain. This is drain. and drain is this. So I am finding out my R out at this node. This is grounded and this is connected over here. Clear? Gate connected to drain. So now GM I would have written VGS. Now I will write GM VDS. So this is drain. So if I put a test source Vx here and find out Ix, what will be my Vx by Ix here? So Vx will now become Vd. Vx will be nothing but Vd. Okay? Because X is same as drain. So what will be this? Give me. Can I say it would be 1 by Gm parallel RO. What is Ix? It is Gm Vx. Ix is Gm Vx because VGS is VDS and VDS is Vx plus the current through this Vx by RO. So find out Vx by Ix from here. So this is coming as 1 by Gm, which is nearly same as 1 by Gm because RO is a large quantity. So I have got this upper component. What is this upper component now? It is 1 by Gm parallel RO or simply 1 by Gm. So what will be net R out? It would be upper component parallel to down component. This would be 1 by Gm parallel RO parallel RO. So what is R out? Roughly 1 by Gm. Approximately. So what will be your gain? R out is 1 by Gm parallel RO or roughly equal to Gm 1 by Gm. Now we have to know because these two Gms are of two different transistors. If I say this is M1 and this transistor is M2, then this Gm is for 1 and this Gm is for 2. So I have had this quantity. So gain now becomes Gm1 by Gm2. You tell me the polarity. What will be the polarity? Should I put a plus or a minus here? Look at the circuit. If input is going high, what is happening to VGS? Reducing. So current is decreasing. NMOS increment is shown from drain to source. Decrement will be shown from source. Current flows this way. I. Small I. So this I when drops across this potential will give you a positive potential. Positive potential. So there would be no phase reversal. Understood everybody? Very small, minute things that make a lot of difference when you calculate. Phase. When input increases, what is phase? That when input increases, output will decrease, or when input increases, output will increase, or there would be a time shift. What is phase? If input is going this way, output is going this way. This is 180-degree phase. Or if input is going this way, output is going this way. There is a shift. Or if input is going this way, output is also going this way but with enhanced value. No phase. So here no phase because when input increases, output is also increasing. Because when input increases, VGS reduces. Because this is fixed. So when source, it is VGS. Looking at VGS. When source increasing, VGS reduces. So GM VGS reduces. GM VDS reduces means which way I should show the current in small signal model, up or down? VGS is negative, right? VGS is reducing, negative. So GM VGS, how do you show GM VGS? Like this for an NMOS. So if it is a negative, so it would be minus GM VGS. I remove the minus sign, I change the direction. Simple. I take care of this minus sign by reversing the direction. So this GM VGS current is going now up. So it will drop across the R out, putting a positive potential at this node. Okay. So everybody can do small signal analysis, but an expert, he does the same thing on the circuit itself. He does the small signal analysis on the circuit itself. This is where you save time. Otherwise, analysis will take days. Okay? Clear? Now, so we have a common gate. We also have a common drain. What is common drain or source follower? This is input, VDD drain, this is gate, and this is the load. This is V out, grounded. This is, so it will have a body bias that is coming into picture. This is a bulk terminal. This is source. Okay? Very simple. So, what will be the gain? GM R out. What is the gain? Tell me. Compute GM. First of all, compute R out. That is very easy. So, short this. Put a, this is where you have to find, maybe put a Vx, find out the current Ix. Intuitively, imaginatively you do it. It will have an upper component, it will have a down component. What is a down component? RL. What is the up component? No. Do it. Find out the up component. So it will again have Droid's model. This is RO and this is AC ground. This is what it is going to be, grounded. What will be this direction? Input. Input increases, VGS increases. So this is drain, this is source. Sorry, drain, this is source. Current will be this. NMOS. Current direction. Now, so as source you are putting a Vx. You have to find Vx and Rx. So what is this component called as GM times VGS? Gate is 0. This is X. So what is VGS here? It is V gate minus V source. What is V gate 0? V source is Vx. It is minus Vx. It is GM minus GM Vx. Minus sign you remove. Then you change the direction of the current. So what is Ix now? Ix is simply GMVx plus Vx by RO. Okay. So what is Vx by Ix? Give me. What is Vx by Ix? Yes? GM 1 by GM plus Correct? Is it correct? So this would be how much? So it is 1 by GM parallel R. What is this down component? RL. So what is net R out? It would be 1 by GM parallel RO parallel RL. What is capital GM? Now you tell me. Capital GM. It would be, let me write it down, GM upon 1 plus GM RL. Now you find it out, whether it is correct or not. So can you see here that circuit transconductance is not same as device transconductance. Rather it is a reduced quantity. Clear? So now I thought I would start cascode today, but it so happened that. Okay, no problem. So now here I have discussed everything. Okay? Here I have discussed everything. How to find R out. How to find any resistance at any node. Same method. Short the input voltage sources, open the current sources. Not the supply. Supply is DC source. It is not an AC source. Remember. And find out the Vx by Ix ratio. Okay. So for all the three, you should know all this analysis at low frequency. Okay. I thought I would be now start with two stages. So combining the two stages together and finding out appropriate combination. So cascode I'll start next time. Cascode and differential pairs. Please come prepared. Read this because you already know about these amplifiers. Come prepared so that we take less time in the class. Okay, thank you. First lab assignment I will be preparing, will be giving you very shortly. Meanwhile, book a lab slot here for your case. Nitin, when is the lab slot? Tuesday, 2 to 5. At Pilani campus, at Pilani campus, Tuesday 2 to 5. I think go also 2 to 5 Tuesday.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you all have to come. Please understand that you have to maintain the discipline on your own. Don't expect me to have a cane on my hand and then goad you, okay, at 2 o'clock, why haven't you come? But there would be regular attendances. Apurva would be responsible. I make Apurva responsible for taking attendance at Pilani campus, and maybe somebody, can I make the white shirt student? May I know the name, sir?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes?
Sriram.
Sriram. So Sriram would be responsible for taking attendance at the Goa campus. Everybody should be present. First assignment I will give you, and then the next lab, that probably next Tuesday we will start. Okay? And we'll be using the cadence tools and which technology? 180 nanometers. So we will be at Pilani campus, we'll be using 180, and whichever is available at Goa campus, you can use those technologies. Okay.
Yeah.